Cameras today have moved absolute milestones from where they were 10 years ago. So I'm going to give you 5 useful features that I think are available on pretty much any camera, especially Sony's. So first one for me, not something which is particularly going to enhance your photography or anything, but certainly in street photography, turning your shutter to silent. So silent shutter is definitely something which I do. You know, it stops people from seeing what you're doing. You know, when you take a photo, if you take something quite close, sometimes you'll get people going, "You taking a photo of me?" Or it gets people's back up a bit, I've found. So if you're on silent shutter, they don't even know. And especially if you hold your head up to the eyepiece, so you put your eye behind it and you take a shot and you carry on walking with it, they don't even know again. So silent shutter, more of a awareness for other people, I guess, because they find it a nuisance or they don't want their photo taken. Your minimum shutter speed and auto ISO. So auto ISO, pretty self-explanatory really. I set it to auto personally because I want the lowest ISO. So I let the camera do the work. They are pretty much that advanced these days. The cameras are that modern. I just let it do the work for me. I control the shutter speed I want. I control the aperture. To be honest, I couldn't really care about the ISO because I know that the aperture I've set is the one I want. The shutter speed, whether I want freeze, action or some motion blur, is what I want. So the ISO is going to be what it is. So I just let the camera do what it wants there. And minimum shutter speed for me is basically because the A6400 doesn't have any IBIS or anything like that built into it, and I don't have any OSS or stabilized lenses. You can get basically blurry images if your shutter speed gets too low. So for me, I've set it for sort of street photography at 1/250th of a second, so it's definitely going to freeze the frame, and also it's never going to drop below that. The only time it will drop below that is if I goes above my maximum ISO, which I think I've set about 2000, which in most cases it's not going to do. So definitely 2 things I recommend you do: auto ISO and set that minimum shutter speed to whatever you're doing. But especially if you're handheld and you don't have any IBIS, keep it at least above about 125th of a second, just so you don't get any blurry images. Make use of your custom buttons. So on the A6400, we've got 3, C1, C2 and C3, I believe. There's different cameras, different buttons. Basically play around with them, but utilize them. I've got one set which focuses, so as soon as I push it, it will focus, like a focus hold button. I've got one set that changes aspect ratio, and also don't forget, depending on what mode you're in, video or photo, these buttons are customizable to each of those, so you can have them the same or not. And also play around on the back. So if you've got a scroll wheel, you may be able to just change it to whatever you want it to do. The buttons, you don't have to use the default that obviously the images show, like ISO or anything like that. You can change them to whatever you want, so just have a play around, but make the camera work for you, especially in quick scenarios and quick situations where you need a shot. If you know that, oh, if I push left, it changes my focus mode, do it. Like, change it to what you want it to do to make it better. The metering mode. So how the camera basically exposes your photos. On the A6400, I'm not sure if it's available on all cameras, but it is on the Sony's. I like the either multi, so it's taking everything, or exposing for the highlights. So with that, you get some great photos, exposes for the highlights, so you get some a little bit brighter, you can pull the shadows back, etc. So if you can, try out the highlight metering mode and see how you get on. Let me know in the comments. Make use of your memory recall. Now, whether you've got that as buttons or on the A6400, you just have an MR on the top wheel and you can have 3 different sets. So I've got one which is set for this, which is my 24 frames per second 4K. I've got one set for 120 frames per second, but obviously 1080, and I've got a 60 frames per second 1080. Now, the good thing about setting these is they've got my picture profile set into them. They've got the volume I want to use, so the camera volume for my external microphone. They've got everything set. They've got the autofocus set, the metering set, everything. So as soon as I select one of them, it's good to go. And then as soon as I go back to aperture priority, which is my main camera mode, all of that turns off. So all the picture mode profiles, because you don't want picture profiles in photo, that turns off. everything turns off. But then as soon as I want video again, back to memory recall, my most used is obviously number 1, click number 1, and I know straight away that I'm literally ready to just line it up and press record, so there's no messing about. So hopefully you found those 5 camera features something useful, something to try. Maybe you're already trying them, maybe you're not. Let me know down in the comments. It'd be great to have some interaction. As ever, please like and subscribe if you found this video useful or helpful. Plenty more camera tips to come. I'm going to do some more street walks as well, hopefully some more rainy ones, although my A6400 nearly died last time. But thanks so much for watching, guys. See you later.